I'll never forget the moment I stood in that dusty impound lot, staring at my MOVYing truck, my heart sinking like a stone. Everything I owned, me furniture, clothes, even my grandma's antique sewing machine, was locked inside. All because some nosy neighbor decided I hadn't jumped through her imaginary hoops to move into my own damn house. The afternoon sun scorched the pavement, and I was still reeling, trying to wrap my head around how someone could be so bold as to tow my truck on the day I was supposed to start my new life. My phone buzzed with a text, a blurry photo of police lights flashing across my freshly mowed lawn. My lawn, the one I'd legally bought with every penny I'd scraped together. And there, in the frame, was Diane, mid-rant, her finger jabbing in my empty driveway, her face twisted with smug satisfaction. Then I zoomed in and saw it. A cop stepping in, cutting off her tirade about unauthorized residents to slap cuffs on her wrists. The same woman who'd sneered at me hours earlier, preaching about needing her permission to move in, was now getting a taste of real paperwork. But let me rewind and tell you how this whole mess exploded. After months of grueling house hunting, open houses, lost bidding wars, and endless paperwork, I'd finally found my dream home in Willow Creek, a quiet suburban neighborhood with tree-lined streets and pristine yards. The realtor mentioned a homeowners association, but it sounded harmless. Affordable dues, focused on keeping the common areas tidy and hosting holiday potlucks. I got my welcome packet 2 weeks before closing, paid my dues, and even swapped friendly emails with the HOA treasurer about trash pickup days. Everything seemed normal as I geared up for MOVYing day. I'd saved for years for this house, working overtime, skipping vacations, even selling my prize VY NYL collection to pad my down payment. This wasn't just a house. It was my VY Tory, my escape from noisy apartments and sketchy landlords. I'd planned every detail like a military operation. Spreadsheets for packing, color-coded boxes, and a rented MOVYing truck do la $400 for the day, a hefty chunk on top of closing costs. I'd roped in 2 buddies, Jake and Sarah, who took personal days to help with the heavy lifting, and I promised them pizza and beers as thanks. MOVYing day dawned bright and crisp. I pulled the truck into my driveway at sunrise, the 3-bedroom ranch-style house gleaming with fresh paint and endless potential. I stood in the doorway, keys jingling in my hand, soaking in the moment. This was mine. I'd already mapped out where my couch would go, which wall would hold my family photos, and the cozy corner for my reading Nuka luxury my old apartments never allowed. We started unloading, careful to keep the truck neatly parked, carrying in kitchen boxes first. I'd picked a Tuesday, figuring the neighborhood would be quiet with folks at work. The street was peaceful, just a few joggers while VYing as they passed, birds chirping, sprinklers humming. For 20 blissful minutes, it was perfect. Then came the sharp click of heels on concrete, like a warning shot. I turned to see a woman storming up my driveway, all business with a blonde bob that didn't budge and designer sunglasses perched on her head. Diane, in her early 50s, wore khaki capris and a pale blue polo, the unofficial uniform of Willow Creek's HOA board, clutching a clipboard like it held the nuclear codes. "Excuse me," she barked, her voice cutting through the morning calm. "What do you think you're doing?" I froze, a box of plates in my arms, thrown by the question. "Oh, Marvin," I said, offering a shaky smile, hoping she was just a quirky neighbor playing welcome wagon. She stopped dead in front of me, sizing me up like I was a trespasser. "I don't see your move-in approval form," she snapped, flipping through her clipboard with a flourish. I set the box down, confused. "I'm sorry, what?" "I'm the homeowner. I closed on this place last week. I can show you the deed." She cut me off with a raised hand, her nails gleaming pale pink. "Ownership doesn't matter without HOA compliance. I'm Diane Larson, VYC President of Community Standards. Without an approved move-in request, you're technically trespassing." "Trespassing? In my own house?" I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Ms. Larson, I appreciate your dedication, but my welcome packet didn't mention any move-in approval. I've paid my dues, registered with the HOA, and I'm following all the rules." I gestured to Jake and Sarah, who'd paused to watch this bizarre showdown. We're not blocking the street or damaging anything. Can we sort this out later? Diane's face hardened, her pen tapping her clipboard like a ticking bomb. A small pin on her shirt read, Standards Committee in gold letters, worn like a sheriff's badge. That's not how Willow Creek works, she declared, her tone dripping with superiority. Rules exist for a reason. If everyone moved in whenever they pleased, it'd be chaos. She waved at the street, as if rogue MOVYing trucks were about to swarm the neighborhood. I've lived here 17 years, served on the board for 11. I know what's best for property values. Her voice had a rehearsed edge, like she'd given this speech to countless others who dared cross her. You need to stop MOVYing until your request is approved likely Wednesday, since the board must re-VYEW aesthetic and BHA-VY oral compliance. She shot a pointed look at Jake's faded Nirvana tee and ripped jeans. We have standards here. Jake, ever the peacemaker, stepped in. He's a mediator at a law firm, a pro at defusing tension. Look, we've rented this truck for the day, and it wasn't cheap. We've all taken time off work. Can we get pro-VY final approval to unload? Maybe talk to the HOA president. His tone was calm, but firm, the perfect de-escalation move. But Diane wasn't ha-VYing it. She turned on him, eyes narrowing. And you are? She demanded, as if he needed a VIP pass to speak. Resident? Family? Hired help. The way she sneered hired help made my blood boil. Before Jake could respond, I jumped in. He's my friend, helping me move, and you've got no right to talk to him like that. Show me where this move-in rule is written, because I read every page of the HOA covenants, and it's not there. Diane flipped through her clipboard with theatrical confidence, then paused, her fingers fumbling. A flicker of doubt crossed her face before she tapped a random page, holding it at an angle I couldn't read. It's standard policy. Page 12, paragraph 3, subsection B, she said, her voice oozing authority. I wasn't buying it. I'd spent a weekend poring over those covenants, highlighter in hand, and there was no such rule. I've read every word, and there's nothing about move-in approvals. Want to re-VY-EU my copy together. Her lips tightened, her knuckles whitening on the clipboard. You must not have the updated version, she pivoted smoothly. The board passed amendments last quarter. Ignorance of the rules isn't an excuse. We went back and forth for 20 minutes, polite offers, compromises, even Sarah suggesting we draft a move-in form for future residents. But Diane was immovable, her clipboard a shield against reason. My excitement was gone, replaced by a throbbing headache. The clock was ticking. We'd barely have time to unload essentials before returning the truck. Finally, I drew the line. Diane, I respect your passion for the neighborhood, but I own this house, and there's no documented rule stopping me. I'll call my realtor and the HOA president to clear this up, but we're MOVYing forward. Her face flushed, 2 red spots blooming on her cheeks. If you proceed without authorization, I'll take further action, she warned, her voice low and menacing. There are consequences for ignoring community standards. I thanked her coolly and turned back to work, but as she stormed off, phone in hand, I knew this wasn't over. For the next hour, we unloaded furniture, but Diane's presence loomed. Every glance toward her colonial-style house 3 doors down caught her silhouette behind blinds or on her porch, clipboard in hand, watching like a hawk. By noon, we were star-VYing and drained, the morning's drama sapping our energy. We locked the truck and headed to a sandwich shop 10 minutes away, CRA-VYing fresh bread and a break from the tension. Should someone stay with the truck? Sarah asked, eyeing Diane's house, where the blinds snapped shut as we looked. Nah, I said, trying to sound confident. It's locked tight. What you gonna do? Take more photos. Famous last words. We were gone 45 minutes, laughing over sandwiches and debating paint colors, avoiding Diane's name. But when we pulled back into my driveway, my stomach dropped. The truck was gone. My entire life half unloaded was just gone. Before I could process it, Diane's heels clicked toward us, her face radiating triumph. I warned you, she said, not even hiding her glee. The vehicle was towed for community safety and unauthorized parking. I was speechless. You tow my truck? From my own driveway. She adjusted her sunglasses, inspecting her nails. Not your driveway until you follow protocol. File an appeal with the HOA next month. I left the paperwork in your mailbox, though. Technically, it's not yours yet either. Fury surged, but I held it together. This is insane. You can't tow from private property without my consent. She smirked. As VYC president, I have enforcement powers. Maybe next time, read the guidelines. As she sauntered off, tossing a venomous welcome to Willow Creek. Over her shoulder, Jake grabbed my arm. This isn't legal. Call the cops and the towing company. He was right. No matter how much Diane thought she ruled this neighborhood, she couldn't do this. I dialed the police, explaining how my truck was towed from my driveway by a neighbor claiming HOA authority. The dispatcher sounded baffled, but sent an officer. Then I called the towing company, waiting on hold forever before a clerk confirmed Diane had authorized the tow with official HOA paperwork. I demanded to know what paperwork. After another hold, they cited an emergency vehicle removal form signed by Diane as VP. That didn't add up. I dug out my welcome packet, scanning the bylaws. Towing required the owner's consent or a violation notice with 2 board signatures and a 7-day warning. None of that had happened. When Officer Daniels arrived, I handed him a folder, my deed, closing papers, highlighted bylaws, and phone records. He listened, nodding as I laid out the madness. So, you own this property, we're MOVYing in, and this neighbor had your truck towed without warning or proper authorization? I nodded, relieved someone got it. He frowned. This sounds like fraudulent misrepresentation at best. He called the towing company, his expression darkening as they sent over Diane's form of fake emergency removal document with 3 signatures, including 2 forged ones from the HOA president and secretary. I pointed out the treasurer's signature from my welcome letter didn't match. This isn't legit, I said. There's no emergency removal in the bylaws. Daniels nodded grimly. Falsifying documents and forging signatures is criminal. Let's talk to Ms. Larson. We walked to Diane's house, my heart pounding with anger and vindication. She answered the door, clipboard in hand, her confidence wavering at the sight of Daniel's uniform. How can I help? Officer, she cooed, suddenly all sweetness. Daniels got straight to it. We're here about the towing at 1437 Maple Drive. Your neighbor owns the property and was within rights to park there. The form you gave the towing company has forged signatures and fake procedures. Diane's composure cracked, panic flashing in her eyes. There's a misunderstanding, she stammered. As a board member, I have emergency powers. Daniels pressed. Did you create this form? Are these signatures real? Her face reddened. It was a clerical error. I was protecting neighborhood standards. I couldn't believe it was calling fraud a clerical error. Daniels didn't flinch. Presenting false documents to tow property is fraud. Forging signatures is forgery. Both are crimes. Diane's desperation kicked in. This is a mix-up. I'll cover the fees, return the truck. Let's start fresh, no hard feelings. She flashed me a fake smile, but Daniel shut her down. This isn't a CIVYL matter. You've committed crimes. He read her rights and cuffed her as she sputtered. I'm on the HOA board. You can't arrest me for doing my job. But out she went, protesting as neighbors peeked through curtains, her commanding aura crumbling. Daniels drove me to the impound lot, another officer trailing with Jake and Sarah. The towing manager, mortified, waived all fees and escorted us to my truck, everything intact. He apologized, saying Diane had seemed legit based on past HOA calls. Back at Willow Creek, neighbors emerged, curious about the police escort. A couple in their 60s approached. We saw what happened with Diane, the woman said. We're sorry this was your welcome. Her husband added, she's been out of control, making up rules, scaring everyone. Nobody stood up to her until now. Another neighbor, Chris, chimed in. The board's been trying to rein her in, but today was her breaking point. Stories poured out. Diane's fines for wrong, trash cans, threats over garden gnomes, a reign of fear over a once friendly neighborhood. Instead of being the outcast, I was a hero for exposing Diane. Neighbors rallied, turning my move into a block party, helping unload the truck in record time. The HOA president, Mark, called to apologize, horrified by Diane's actions. We're holding an emergency meeting to remove her. Please come share your story. The towing company later blacklisted Diane and threatened to drop the HOA contract if she stayed in power. At the meeting, the board unanimously ousted her, and they voted to host a neighborhood barbecue fresh start. That Saturday, my yard buzzed with laughter, food, and string lights. The truck now a party cooler, a symbol of freedom. Kids played, adults relaxed, and I finally felt at home. But here's where it gets messy. Was Diane just a power-hungry bully, or did she genuinely believe she was protecting Willow Creek? Should I press charges to hold her accountable, or let go to keep the peace? Could the HOA have stopped her sooner, or was she too slick? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you do? Was I too soft on her, or did she get what she deserved? Like, subscribe, and let's keep this debate going.